Hello and welcome. I'm Raziel. Oh, there you go. Now we started. I always forget about that. I really do. Hello and welcome. I'm Raziel, and we are going to talk about. I am here with Josh Konczal. I hope I did pronounce that right that time.
Yeah, you pronounced it.
And we're going to talk about Adepticon and Wild West Exodus because it's one of the best games you can get at the moment, and that's just I just love this game. So, what got you into Wild West Exodus?
So I was at Adepticon several years back, and I was walking through the vendor hall with my wife, and we're trying to find a game that we easily pick up because I was very brand new to the hobby. So had a demo, we both loved it, and I just like the one shot, one kill type deal. Like no matter what it is, you could take it down. So picked up a starter box, and yeah, I've enjoyed it since then. I love the storyline, the alternate Civil War type server line, and I like the simplicity of the gaming mechanics.
Oh yeah, I must admit it's one of the easiest games you can get to teach someone.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's amazing when I just love the fact that I do Warrior Nations, and I've got all but the Raging Bear. I'm not even joking, man. And I love the fact that you could just get some sort of Tesla bot to take out a great elk, and you're like, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's shivering their boots and stuff. Like that's a big model, but you can take it down.
So what factions do you do?
Ooh, man. So I'm bouncing between, like you, with the Warrior Nation and the Hex. For a simple fact is they can share units, which is another aspect I like about the game. So one unit you can use with one posse, but you can use that same unit with another posse because they kind of share models. So those are the two I'm kind of bouncing between at the moment because there are many layers to the game. Like any other game. So the one thing I had learned was like the whole portal thing. I was trying to do the base game, and then I add those different layers to make it more interesting. So that's the two that I'm working on right now.
I agree. There's many layers. It's one of the few games which you can actually see there is a verticality to it as well, because it's not just on the playing field, because you get to do the good old-fashioned shootouts, like at the top of a saloon and stuff like that. And so, which one's your favorite model? Because I think all the models look fantastic. I tell you what, I'll give you a quick story first. Okay. I got the Ghostbusters one, the Soul Hunter box.
Oh, okay.
And one of the models was badly printed, and I didn't realize this. But the way it was badly printed, because it looks like what the Enlightened would do with a mask, I ended up painting it like a mask.
Okay, yeah.
So what's your favorite model?
Favorite models? I'm bouncing between two at the moment. So they're both from Warrior Nation and one's from X. So the original one that kind of drew me in to this one faction was the Absolute Power, because it has like that Star Wars reference.
Oh yeah.
And so that main model is the Third Man, which totally is kind of an homage to the Emperor from Star Wars. So that's one of my favorites. And then the other one from the Warrior Nation, I forget his name. It's the Warrior Nation with the big old elemental behind him. I forgot his name off the top of my head.
Raven Spirit, I believe.
Yes.
I have him too.
Yes, Raven Spirit, just because that awe-inspiring elemental just hovering over him with his claws.
And it's a chunky model too.
And I got one of the version 1, so there was all these little gaps I had filled in, and it was such a pain.
I've got to say, like, I think out of all the models, I think I've had only fill in like a couple of gaps. Usually, I find they fit so well together.
Usually, yes.
And I can see why, because it is a chunky boy. Like,
I think so chunky.
I think he's the heaviest out of all of the models.
Heavy is in like just pure mass, or
mass, like picking him up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Without being like a size 4 or size 5 base, he's a sizable model for sure.
And you said about the Third Man being a homage to Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah.
Oh, they War Cradle, I've got to give them credit. They wear their I forgot the word. Inspiration on their sleeve with their models.
Yes, they do.
You've got because I've got Lawman posse.
Yeah, I got one of those too.
I've got two. I've got the Infernal Affairs
Okay.
and the Showboat Rangers.
Oh, cool.
I just love that Calamity Jane model.
Mm. They've got some really nice sculpts. Like
Yeah.
the other favorite one of mine is Abraham Lincoln, just for a simple fact he's got this shotgun axe.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love his story.
Oh, the storyline is definitely solid.
Oh yeah, I love Abraham Lincoln's. It's like he was like, I can't help America behind this desk.
Yeah.
And there's this whole conspiracy that the assassination was fake.
Mm.
I thought it was really an interesting twist on the history, and that's something else Warcradle does well. They do these really interesting twists on history.
Right.
So, Adepticon, you are doing a game. Is it a showcase? Because you said Warcradle are getting involved.
They're
not involved.
They're not really getting involved per se. So there are two representatives that are coming. One is the project manager. All right. They haven't really communicated what they're going to do, but they are going to sit on the event. For the event, it's pulled from Badlands. So I know in one of your videos you had this idea of what it could be.
Yeah.
So it basically comes down to that. The first game I ran was for a charity event, and it was this train heist.
Nice.
So yeah, and I was looking through it, and there were some things missing. So I communicated with Warcradle Studios, like, hey, I don't have this material. Can you send me a reference? So they said, oh, it's in Badlands. Let me send it to you. So I read through it, and it's a series of missions that you can run for a tournament. I was like, oh, that's perfect. So I've got three that I got planned. One of them is the last game from last year's Adepticon. All right, that's gonna be the first one, just so someone can play it again. Like, oh, I kind of wish I had more time. The second one is from Badlands, but I modified it. So originally, the scenario card for where you deploy right in the middle. So someone's defending their camp. All right, it's just a square, and everyone's in the center, and all your enemies are around you. But I wanted to change it up a little bit, so I looked in the rule book. And one of the things was, oh, you can destroy buildings or walls or something like that, but it's not defined. It just says, if you happen to do it, all right, someone will tell you about it. So I had a friend that I met at Adepticon that we play fairly regularly, all right, and we fleshed out these rules, and it should be very interesting. So I'm 3D printing and handcrafting all these walls that you can destroy, all right, if you're lucky enough. I mean, it's possible, but in all the games I've played, at most you'll get one or two walls down. So it's got the flavor for it. Like, you can do it. And then the third one is also from Badlands. It's where this little rift like bounces around the map, and then whatever it touches, either it poofs or that model just might be vaporized. So it should be really, really interesting gameplay. So we got three scenarios for that day. It should be a majority of the day, and I'm really looking forward to it.
See, it sounds really interesting what you're doing there. I actually want to go to the Badlands in Arizona anyway myself, mainly because I used to be a massive dinosaur nerd.
Oh, okay. Wait, they had dinosaurs in Badlands?
Oh yeah, there's been a lot of discoveries in the Badlands.
Oh,
so when I heard about you guys doing this in Adepticon, it's like, first things first. I usually think when I go to conventions, it's not the stores that actually really sell it. It's when they see you guys playing the game. That's what sells it to people.
Yeah.
They come in, they see the game, they see it's, people having fun with it. And I think having more people having eyes on this, on Wild West Exodus, is a great thing. And that's something I want to bring up in a second. And so I thought, so I read the lore around the Badlands and, looked at the geography of it up.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, this has, what really got me excited is that this has very good lore. My brain's not working today. It can affect the lore really well because you've got the Watchers there. You've got the Hex as well.
Yes,
you have the Warrior Nations.
Yeah.
It's for three of them, out of all the factions, three of them, it's really important.
Mm-hmm.
You can see why the outlaws would be there because they're hiding out,
Right.
and the lawmen chasing them. And of
Right.
course, you got the Union with the lawmen and Infernal Affairs searching it out. The Union, it helps everyone because it's a big area which actually affects a lot of the law and a lot of the factions. And I was
Oh,
thinking,
wasn't aware of that one.
that's what really got me excited.
Mm.
I read the lore all the time. I freaking love it. I honestly think it's the best lore in a war game I've seen in a long time.
Oh, okay.
I know that's going to upset anyone who likes 40k, but never mind.
I tried 40k. I tried. I really tried, but it just that whole rule book change every 3 to 6 months was a turnoff.
I've got that from a lot of people, and I started 30 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm old. And so I've seen it when it was at its peak, and now where it's at is something I do want to discuss with you. See, like I said, I like the fact the eyes-on approach. People are going to see it. Yeah. And of course, Stuart, one of the developers, if you look at one of the Facebook posts, he reads one little paragraph, and this stuck with me. It says, stuff is not on hiatus anymore. There is going to be stuff coming in a couple of years.
Oh, that's exciting.
I know, that got me excited. But of course, a couple of years, so we're going to have to sit with our thumbs up for our ass for a bit.
Yeah, hey, I'd rather take a couple of years than to die.
Exactly, and it's growing. I've seen it growing, especially with Armored Clash.
Oh yeah, I've seen the models for Armored Clash. They look gorgeous.
Yeah,
they really do. Especially that one Union one with the rail car.
Oh, the train, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so sexy.
They are. I really like the models, but I hate painting them.
Really who does? It's second to assembling them.
Assembling them, I don't have an issue with. I love assembling these small things. It's great. I freaking love it. But when it's painting, it's like, no, you can just play a field of grey, mate. That's what you're doing.
Sure. Yeah,
so,
it's a little tedious.
It does seem that a lot of companies now are really making a lot of waves within the wargaming industry now. I know Warhammer's the big one, but we're seeing massive strides with Parabellum, with Mantic, even Warcradle are doing some really great things with their plastic.
Yeah.
So if you were to describe Wilderness Exodus to someone, to get them into the game, how would you do it?
Ooh. So it would basically have to be an alternate universe to just after the Civil War. And you have these alien factions that are seeking refuge, and then there's Awakening with the native for America, and it's this great awakening of just power and influence across the states. So it's a very fast-paced game. All right, should take a couple hours, and you can knock a couple games in a day, as opposed to say like any other game, you might be sitting there for several hours with no finish. But again, it's almost, I don't want to say steampunk, but it's just this influence of this new substance that influenced robotics, weaponry, just cybernetics with medicine. It was just a very interesting game that you can just pick up and you can just start playing just immediately.
And I tell you what I do. You're absolutely right, because one thing I do like is they introduced Martha up a couple of years ago on her bike. And they introduced her in such a way that actually made sense, because Martha Earp did exist. She was the sister to Wyatt and Morgan.
Oh, yeah.
But she died when she was a child. So the fact that we have the Enlightened who do all this great stuff in medicine made sense that she could still be alive. And I just love those little twists they add to the game and to their storyline.
Absolutely.
And I tell you what, Odysseus Grant is the most... I just love the... I'm sorry, I'm going to be rambling for a bit, because Odysseus Grant's one of my favorite.
Go for it, man. Let's go.
Odysseus Grant's one of my favorite characters in the lore, because he stopped the Civil War by blowing up Court of Richmond. And to have that sort of, the Union being the good guys, to have that sort of person that's like, yeah, I'll just kill a load of civilians if I have to. That real nasty side to them.
Right.
It's really interesting, because there's obviously good guys and bad guys, which you can see, but they have these parts of them which are both good and bad.
Right, like the Hex almost.
Oh yes, the Hex Lord is my favorite. You want to describe the Hex Lord to people?
Yeah, the Hex. So they're this. They're almost like a symbiote type race that just want to exist. All right. But some other faction, some other alien faction don't like them around. So Hex have been trying to basically find a new home, and they landed upon Earth, and they pretty much bond with the underdogs for the most part. Not necessarily evil, but not necessarily good either. They just want to coexist and be left alone.
Yeah, I think that's great. And the spirit of the Order of the Orshard just don't like him.
Mm. Or it could be like almost from like the symbiotes from like Venom or something like that. Those guys.
And unlike them, they don't actually want to eat everyone. They just sort of
right.
Just leave us alone.
Yeah.
And of course, like because when you look at the Hex models, you automatically think bad guy. Like they don't look pretty, do they? They don't look like humans. And I think that's another nice twist Walker have done. You know.
But if you read the lore, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course you got people like Carpavian who just abuses the Hex into doing what he wants it to do, like stuff like that.
Interesting. Speaking of him, real quick, I do like the lore where he was able to find that. I forgot what the sum was like. RJ. It was a 4 numerical code, and he was able to power a lot of his cybernetics and robotics. But I like how he gives his technology for free. Like, oh, you want my technology? That's great, but you will work for me, one way or the other, for the rest of your lives. I thought that was an interesting twist.
I tell you what I do like about being enlightened, because they're kind of libertarian. It's like, we'll give you this stuff for free, but we are not part of your country. This is our land. We're not paying taxes. Go away.
Right.
Like I said, they do a lot. There's so much depth into this lore, which, from the start, you just think, wow, it's aliens versus cowboys.
Yeah, like almost kind of like the movie almost.
Yeah, but with samurai.
Freaking oh, I forgot about that.
I love. They're such lovely models too.
Yeah, I have not seen that many. I've only seen them online. I've never ever actually seen one.
I gave my posse to my little girl, and I'm going to get myself another one because they have such wonderful models.
Yeah. Where'd you find that, by the way?
They're on the Wayland Games. Wayland Games do ship to America, and there will be a link to them.
Okay.
On the video, there always is, and it's not because they pay me. It's actually because I use them a lot, and I think I wouldn't have any link that I didn't actually want to, that I wouldn't go to.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just the way I am. And such as you got Walks Looking, my favorite model.
Oh, Walks Looking, yeah, and she's great to play with too. She's
a beast.
I don't want she's OP, but she is a character to be reckoned with for sure.
Oh yeah, and of course you got 3 models of her as well. You have the traditional one, which is like hen's teeth, because the posse's been stopped. You got the legendary,
and
you have the one for the Hex as well.
Correct.
And that's what I like about her story as well. There's this redemption arc to do with it.
Yeah. There's definitely like multi layers to it.
And you rarely see a model or any character in a game which has an arc through that and actually have the different models to represent the story.
So it's kind of like a Magic the Gathering does something very similar with their characters on their cards. Very similar. Like it has this storyline attached to it as it goes through the years.
All right, I don't really play MTG.
I know, but it was a very similar.
No, I get
it. Yeah.
And so what fascinates me about Wild West Exodus is, like you said, it's the sculpts. I don't think I've seen any sculpts which are better than War Cradles, and we're talking GW Forge World stuff included into that. Their sculpts are just next level for Wild West Exodus.
They're very, very nice, especially the ones that the later versions.
Oh, the newer ones are very good. Especially when Nikola Tesla is one of my favorite models.
Okay.
Even from the starter set.
Okay.
I just love the way he's done. I love the the electricity, and you can tell these guys put a lot of love into their models.
Oh yeah, They took the time to do those right for sure.
And of course, we had Sarah Corkwell who wrote Lazarus.
Mm-hmm.
Have you read that yet?
I only read one book, and I can't remember which one that was off the top of my head.
If it's the newest one, it's Lazarus. It's like their only canon book.
Yeah, I know there's like a couple of them. I've read one. I just off the top of my head, I can't remember which one it was. I read it like a couple years back.
So when I went to review the book, I went to do some research on her.
Mm-hmm.
I read her blog, and then you could see that she absolutely adores Doc Holliday in her blog. She like mentions him so many times. So when you go read Lazarus, which is he's a major player,
yeah,
you can see that love into it, and I think that's just something we're starting to see in wargaming. A lot of these littler games are getting all their love because the people behind it just love the hobby.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, what army will you be taking, or are you playing?
Well, it depends. So, if there's an odd number, or if there's 15 players and we just need that one more, I'll probably be playing the Lawmen that I've been trying to get together. It's the one with the Tesla bots and I can't remember his name right now, but he runs a whole bunch of bots at the moment, and it runs this truck that I was able to find, the
Ironhide.
The Ironhide. But I got the version 1.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was at Adepticon, and there's like a trading bits room, and there's this one guy selling it for like $5-10. So nice. Yeah, I was like, oh, I'll definitely pick up. It didn't have a base, but it's a solid chunk of resin.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
See, that's another thing I was going to say. One thing I do like about Wild West Exodus is this, and Warcradle will do it a lot with all their games, and I think it's one of their best selling points. This one box is needed.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is, you can pick up any posse, and that's it. That's all you need for the game.
Yeah, for the most part.
You don't need anything else.
No, not at all. And I do like the fact that when they do an update for the rulebook, you can just download from this website.
Oh, yeah. The fact that they update the rulebook on the website is something else.
Absolutely.
I wish another company would do that.
Yeah, we can talk about one specifically, but we don't have to. Yeah.
Because this is just the thing I love about it. Because when I first got into it, I was looking at starting this new army, this new game.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went onto the Facebook page, which is fantastic. And I was looking at it, and I was like, so what do I need to start? And people go, well, just pick a posse, and that's it. You've got your army. It's like, wait, that's all I need?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That's so cool. So I started with the Enlightened because I didn't want to go into a website first. I wanted to go up and buy one, and the only one they had left was the Enlightened. And to find that out in the wild is just amazing. Mm. I did have to travel 40 miles to get it, though.
Wow. Dedication.
Well, I live out in the sticks.
Oh, okay.
And, and I painted and built the models. I know, my little girl was a toddler at the time, and I said, there you go, have a paintbrush, have a model, knock yourself out, have fun,
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with it then because it just felt so fun to paint. They were actually fun models.
Yeah. And again, fast paced. I mean,
it
either survives or it doesn't with one shot.
And I've got to say, apart from a very few models, it seems to be pretty well balanced.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would definitely have to agree with that. I mean, there's a couple of rules that I wish they would either clarify or they'd improve on, but for the most part, it's pretty ironed out.
They know what they're doing. That's the thing. I think Warcradle really know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've got, if we go back to Armored Clash, that is a very well balanced game as well. Dystopian Wars. All their games for this main setting are very well balanced. If you buy continue. Like if you buy the Crown, like if you buy the introductory set, for the Armored Clash, that's a very good set. And I love the fact they called it an introductory set because it's like this isn't a starter set. This is to get you into the game,
right?
To see if you like it. quick rule set. But if you want to get into the game, you got the big starter set, which has every model in it.
Right.
And the full rulebook. And I like this idea. See, War Cradle to me are probably one of the better companies.
Mm-hmm.
And because we obviously met on the Facebook page.
Right.
And group, isn't it? It's a Facebook group.
It's a Facebook group, and it's pretty active. I mean, everyone posts, it seems like every few days or something like that.
Unless it's boring and I decided to post a couple of memes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But it's run by the developers.
Yeah, which is nice.
It is, because you feel like you're actually part of the community. It's got that proper feedback that you would get from normal guy, but he's like one of the actual developers of the game, and it feels good.
Yeah,
to actually feel like they're listening to you.
Yeah.
So, what would you like to see happen in Wild West Exodus?
Ooh, man, that's a good question. Probably more than anything, if you go onto the website and you see the factions, there are models that are listed that you really can't get anymore, or you just won't be aware of. So I think you mentioned one, like I think it was Imperials or something like that.
Walks Looking you can't get the original.
Oh, Walks Looking. I think there was another. It's another faction. It's a symbol. Was not fair. It's like a red icon and it looks like a crown.
Oh, the crown. You got the crown. Yeah.
That stuff is. They introduced this stuff, but they didn't really expand on it. So I would just like them to kind of bring it back and probably just expand just a little bit on the rules and maybe a few models. Nothing too crazy. Just like, oh, I'd like to have just a variety or try something new. But
I agree. I absolutely agree. Because a lot of those ones, like there's an Empire box, there's a Crown box, there's a single model for the Commonwealth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's something called the Sultanate as well. And they were all part of the Lost World Exodus.
Yes, that.
But I'd love to see them expand on that.
Yeah, agreed. Totally.
Because, again, it's something that... I was talking about... I remember asking in a Facebook group, and Stuart replied quite politely, like he always does, about whether or not we're going to see the Watchers in Dystopian Wars, and he said, no, it's not going to happen. And it's because the Watchers are part of an end game.
Oh.
In the lore.
End game is in like a finale? Or
a finale, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And because I think that this is one of the reasons I love the lore, is that they do have these things set in stone, which could end the dystopian age.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know about this?
No, I wasn't aware of that, actually.
Well, this is how it goes. The Watchers... This is a fine twist on the alien invasion story.
Okay.
The Watchers don't actually invade.
Oh.
No, they sort of come down, see what we're at, see what the race is at, and say, right, we like you. Do you want to join us?
Mm-hmm.
And if it goes well, they may join, or if they say, no, we don't want to be part of you, like, okay, fine, we'll move on. Unless the negotiations get aggressive, then that's when it all changes.
Yeah.
And so basically, if the Watchers get their way, the planet's going to be at peace, so no more war, no more dystopian age.
Mm-hmm.
The Sultanate obviously want to get rid of the Hex.
Right.
No, Sultanate, the Order, I should say.
Yes, right, the Order.
And if they don't, they'll destroy the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, no more war.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that they put these... This is, like, we'll talk about the lore in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And your thoughts on it. And the fact that they have these sort of end game scenarios already chiseled out in stone is really interesting to see in a wargaming setting. So, what parts of the lore do you like?
I think I like that ultimate timeline after the Civil War, where they reintroduced this technology. I just found it real interesting. Like, if you gave a Gatling gun to a native, I mean, that just seems really interesting to me. And also being able to summon these spirits and then this symbiotes, and it just seems very interesting to me that a new take on a history, and it gives you this flavor that it's well established. Like, okay, I can relate to that. That's very interesting.
And like you said, I like the fact that they bring in people in the lore which actually existed.
Mm-hmm. Now, did they ever figure out how they introduced Nikola Tesla? Because I'm pretty sure he wasn't live back then.
Oh, he was. It was that time period when he was alive.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But he was part of the Enlightened.
Yeah, but I thought while was Exodus, the timeline was like around the 1800s, and I thought Nikola Tesla was around the 1900s. I thought.
Let me just Google that.
I
could be wrong. Google, everyone's best friend for knowledge.
Absolutely.
So what his story is something else.
Mm-hmm.
And born 1856, died 1943.
Oh, okay. Okay, so he was around that era.
And he was working for the Enlightened because, smarty pants and all that nonsense.
Right.
And he was like, hang about, that civil war in America is going to continue. That's never going to end. But, the Enlightened were giving both sides the weapons.
Right.
And so he joined the Union and said, look, why don't you use all this new cool stuff I've got?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And which gave the Union the edge they needed. And then Grant decided to blow up Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think I just love sort of stuff like that. And you can see how characters sort of change and how they adapt. Because the All War itself, which is what the Civil War is about, it's also worldwide as well. It's not just set in America. It's this thing that affects everyone.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Oh, yeah. It's because I think it's in the next book for Armored Clash that they're going to sort of go more into it.
Mm-hmm.
I hope so, because it's a fantastic story. It seems really interesting.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's because you had the Commonwealth, or the Crown, and you've got all these countries that work together. So they're not going to, there's no infighting there. But during the time, you obviously had the Civil War of America, and they wanted to introduce it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love the fact that they just do this. It's just, we have some of the best models.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very good game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's not. Do you use any of the big models apart from the Ironhide?
Big models. I think the only one is the Great Elk is the other one that I like to run.
It's so good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But it makes you cry when he just gets killed by some little dude.
And I wanted to pull off a couple of tricks, and every time I try to pull off that trick, he always gets taken off the board right before he's going to do it.
He is definitely a bullet sponge.
Yeah. I mean, he can take it, but man, just sometimes you're like, oh, I'm so close. And then that one single shot takes him out.
And I because that's one thing I miss from Warhammer. Like back in the day, you could be one shot. You could one shot a tank.
Yeah.
And of course, stuff like that just makes a war game for me because it gives you a story to tell.
Yeah.
And World of Exodus is very narrative driven. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I tell you what, I think we'll wrap it up here because this has gone on for half an hour.
Okay.
You don't mind, do you? I would like to talk more to you about this anyway, and we'll do this again soon, and we can actually properly deep dive. Give people a reason to go to Adepticon to see you guys play.
All right. So if you come, all right, first of all, we're handing out a couple medals. All right. Everyone wants one of those. And when it comes to the medals, all right, there's no first, second, or third. It is Lord Marshal, Bounty Hunter, and then Gunslinger. So it's a conversational piece. And then also, everyone's pretty friendly. Everyone gets along, and everyone just has a generally good time. Last year, handing them out, and nothing but smiles. And if you have models, right, come play.
Actually, talking about that, the community is really chill. I've got to say, it's like one of the nicest small gaming communities.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely like they're definitely a laid back group, and they're willing to reach out to people, communicate with each other, ask some questions. I mean, it's a good group for sure.
I think it's the only one I've seen where people haven't said, like, if you get stuck on a rule, people don't say, go read the rule book. I've never seen that comment once.
I seen it one time on the Facebook page. It happened. It's like this guy referenced the rule book in a certain section, and it's never happened again, but it's quite rare.
He probably got told off.
No, everyone left it alone. Again, they're chill. They're very chills.
And usually you see when people go, I'm stuck on this rule, you get this massive conversation about the rule.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just the amount of support you get from everyone when you just post a model, it's absolutely fantastic. It's nice. I think it's everything a wargaming community should be.
Yes.
It's chill. Everyone just talks about the models and the game and the lore, and the fact that, the developers are so much part of it.
Yeah.
Just adds to it. Same with Dystopian Wars and Dystopian Age.
Mm-hmm.
So explain those models, because those are interesting. It's not first, second, and third. It's, Grand Marshal, Bounty Hunter, Gunslinger.
Lord Marshal. It's Lord Marshal.
Oh, Lord Marshal, okay.
Bounty Hunter, Gunslinger.
And how do you get those?
So first place, obviously takes it all. They get the Lord Marshal medal. Second place, and then the third. Now the third, I had to improvise a little bit. So with Adepticon, you need 16 participants to get third place. So I'll print up some merch and I'll hand something out. For this year, I figured for the Gunslinger, they need a gun. So I'm 3D printing right now this rubber band gun that's modeled from the show The Expanse.
Oh, yeah.
So it's Miller's actual revolver, and it'll hold up to 6 shots, and it'll be full action, pull the lever back, pull the trigger. So that'll be the third place if I don't get the full 16.
Helen Miller is one of the nicest models.
Which one?
Helen Miller.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I tell you, just go back to what you started, like, combining factions.
Mm-hmm.
I just got Theodore Roosevelt running with my Infernal Affairs posse.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that. Is that the one that's riding a dinosaur?
Yeah.
Yes. I've seen that one.
I mean, that's just one of the... There's so much cool stuff. It's like, people can say, I got this big Terminator. It's like, yeah, I got Theodore Roosevelt riding a dinosaur.
Yeah, I can't say that very often.
And you got a French talking gorilla.
Oh, yeah, yes. I forgot all about that one.
I was talking to my friend, and I said, there's a Mr. Is, he's a French talking gorilla. He goes, oh, that's impressive. I went, no, it's not. He goes, why not? He is French.
That's interesting. I did not know that one.
Yeah, again, it's very interesting. Like, so many interesting characters as well. Oh, yeah. Definitely. And they all have really deep, interesting lore behind them. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing I do like. It's like most of your models are named characters. Yeah. And they all have a little story.
Yeah. Oh, and going back to a previous question about what I wish War Cradle Stews would update or do better. Some of the unit cards, they say they're up to date, but they need a little more fleshing out. Like I've run across a few of them, and they're like, this doesn't quite make a whole lot of sense sometimes. So I wish the unit cards they would iron out just a little bit better.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you what I would like them to see. I would like to see is that do you play Conquest?
Conquests. I've heard of it, but I've never played it.
Well, what they did, rather than having unit cards, they actually got all their data sheets for free to download. So it's like a proper data sheet, not like the small cards. I would love to see War Cradle do that instead. Like have a full page for each card rather than card size.
Oh, okay.
But no, you're right. I've seen it a couple of times when you think, okay, this is slightly too much overpoweredness. This needs to be dialed back a little bit. Yeah. Especially with Walk's looking, because I've seen her just literally walk through units.
Well, on her version 1 card, she wasn't that impressive. And then when they got to the version 2 of her rule card, they beefed her up, but she was like a boss. So it kind of made sense.
And then you got the Legendary Edition, which is just unfair to everyone.
Well, I've noticed that some factions, they have that one guy or that one unit, like, that seems a little broken. Like, I think it's a bot from the Union faction. It's got a grenade launcher. It can shoot up to 24 inches across the field. Now, I understand it scatters when it bounces around when it hits, but 24 inches, you just take a few steps and just...
I think a lot of it is because it's a narrative game. It really is.
Yeah.
If you've got someone like Legendary Walks Looking, you want to put them up against like the legendary Jesse James. You want to put those two together.
Yeah.
You have this story, of these two fighting.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of it is.
Yeah. And just because some they feel overpowered. But again, you can be taken out in one hit if you don't have the fates behind you.
Oh, and you don't have the grit.
Yeah, or if you don't have the grit.
I love that as an armor saving throw because that always makes sense to me more than just a wound. It's like whether or not we're just going to suck it up.
Yeah. Just shake it off,
Or it could be just like a flesh wound, which means nothing. It hit. It's like, I'll hit you. It's like, yeah, but it's nothing. It's just a
flesh wound.
I've got to go get some more for this month. But my little girl's starting Horus Heresy, so now I got to buy Warhammer again.
Oh, sorry.
I'll do anything for my little girl. So
yeah, just Warhammer.
Just gently steer her that way.
Yeah, just.
But she does. I think again, it's a very easy game to play, and you could easily teach it to anyone.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just a D10, so no special die or anything like that. And then everything is pretty much, you got line of sight in 360, which makes sense. You got that Johnny Woo type feel to it.
I know, because one thing I was thinking about was the fact that you go into the Warhammer groups and they go like, oh, we got Event Horizon, we've got, Starship Troopers, those are our movies. I'm thinking, oh, we've got Tombstone, we've got The Quick and the Dead, we've got the Clint Eastwood films.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you could do like scenes from those films in this alternate timeline.
Right.
Because I really want Doc Holliday, because I want that posse, Doc Holliday, Wyatt, Virgil, and Morgan.
I have actually a whole Earp family that I'm working on.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's another nice twist, because Virgil got killed.
Oh.
In real life, he got killed, didn't he? By the Cowboys.
Oh, yes, correct.
But that scene still played out as it did in Tombstone.
Right. Very true.
Which I think that's cool. But they managed to bring Enlightened into it to save his life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you ever get a chance, do you read the vignettes on their website?
No, I haven't checked it out yet.
A good one is that, Doc Holliday has that mask for his TB.
Yeah.
He gets really, really upset with Wyatt Earp because of it.
Why is that?
Because he shaved off his mustache. But that fits Doc Holliday's character, though.
Yeah. It's interesting, though.
And the fact that, Doc Holliday was actually accepting his fate, that he knew he was going to die of TB. It was going to happen.
Right.
And of course, Wyatt Earp took that all away at the cost of his mustache.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you got to do it.
Like, this was my choice. I wanted to die. And Wyatt was like, no, this was... And he actually admits that this was completely selfish of him.
Yeah.
He did it because he didn't want to lose a friend. And it is a really good vignette. It'd be worth reading.
I'll have to definitely check that out.
And I think everyone else should as well, because I think a lot of the vignettes really do embrace the lore. And it goes so much deeper. You're obviously more of a player than a lore person.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've delved into it. I've read the lore and the rule books. I did read that one book. I mean, I do enjoy the lore. It's just I like the game more so.
Oh, that's the best thing about wargaming and hobbies like this. I've always said it. Like, you could be a fan of Wild West Exodus, never paint a model, never build a model, never play a game, but you read the lore, and that's the stuff that gets you. That's the stuff you love. Yeah,
that's true. That's very true.
Or you could just paint and build, and that's all you do, or you can just play. It's the hobby is just so great because there's so many aspects to get into it, but you could leave an entire aspect out and you could still be a major fan.
Oh, absolutely.
And we've got like 2 GW rules writers left GW to move to War Cradle.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and of course you've got like Gav Thorpe. He works for Warlord now, and I think it's Andy Chambers. He's moved to Warlord.
Okay.
Like a lot of major GW writers have moved away from GW to write for other games and companies now.
Excellent.
And I think we're getting a renaissance of wargaming. We're getting so many good games coming out from other companies. People are going, let's try these instead.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyway, thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me on, man.
Good luck with Adepticon. I'm going to see if I can actually. Hopefully, I'll get my press pass and I can come.
Okay, cool.
Then I can write it off as a tax thing as well. I don't care who the IRS says. I'm not paying my taxes.
No, I totally understand.
Do you know where that comes from?
No.
It comes from a cartoon called Dan Versus.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that one.
Oh, you've got to give it a go, man. It's so good. But we won't go into that conversation now.
Yeah.
Because we've already I'm probably on a couple of watch lists already with my memes.
Sure. Sure.
Right? So, yeah, thanks for coming on. We'll definitely talk about this again. I'd love to have you come on again. Talk about Warriors Exodus. Let's see if we can get more people into this game.
Yeah.
Because it's a fantastic game.
Oh, yes.
Final question. This is going to be the final question.
Okay.
What faction would you suggest, or posse box, doesn't matter, would you suggest for someone to start playing the game? Or what box?
I would say the one that I got, which was the lawmen versus the mercenaries. It's pretty straightforward, and you can play it right out of the box. The only problem with it is that it doesn't go up to the whole 99 point value. But when it comes straight out of the box, it's a great starter for a fact. It has all the models you need. It's very balanced, and that was the one I would start with.
Thank you very much. You have a great day, dude.
You too, man.
I'm just going to round this off with doing more advertising stuff. Right. Thanks everyone for watching. Have a great day. I hope to see you all again soon. Down below are the links to Wayland Games. If you want to see what Wild West Exodus is about, that's where you go. And because War Cradle own Wayland Games, you don't get the 20% off. Every other war game you get up to 20% off and free delivery after 20 quid. And they have a points system which actually adds up to another 1% off, and that's across the board. There's Forbidden Planet for comics, DVDs, mangas. There's my merchandise, t-shirts, etc., and my comics. If you want to see Little Red Riding Hood go ham on some Lovecraftian cyborg werewolves or werewolf cyborgs, whichever way you want to go, or some teenagers get slaughtered by a tentacle monster. And I'm not even joking. That's literally my 2 comics, man.
I'll have to look at that now. That sounds interesting.
And Skyforge. Never forget Skyforge. Good friend of mine. Let's get him out of that Google algorithm. And finally, Patreon because business. Bye-bye.
All right, take care.
All right, let's go. End recording.